everyone, thank you so much for joining me for the last tutorial for our Molly headbands. This one is for the 18 stitch cabled headband, where you're going to learn how to do an 18 stitch crisscrossing crochet cable. It's going to be so much fun, and I can't wait for you guys to see how it looks and how easy it is. So if you haven't watched the Molly 6 stitch cabled headband yet, be sure to check out that video first because that cabled stitch is in this tutorial as well. Can't wait to get started. Hi everyone, we are getting started on our 18 stitch cabled headband today. It's the final cabled headband in our Molly crochet along pattern. So this is the final practice before we begin our blanket. You're going to need your medium weight yarn. I'm using Lion Brand Wool Ease and a 4mm hook. So we're going to make this one a little bit tighter and just a little bit snugger. Those cables are going to really pop, so I'm pretty excited. Let's get started. So we're going to begin by chaining 23. It's 18 stitches on the middle cable and then 2 on each side. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and then 23 for the extra chain. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So that's about as wide as your headband's going to be. And you're going to half double crochet in the second chain from the hook, which is this one here, and half double crochet across the chain. So I'll meet you there, and then we will do our setup row. So then now that you've half double crocheted across your chain, you will have 22 half double crochets. And we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now we're going to set up our row for those beautiful cables that stretch across those 18 stitches. Now, if you haven't watched the video for the 6 stitch cabled headband, you're going to want to watch that first so that you know how to do just the regular cable, because this features that regular cable worked in 2 ways. So let's get started on the setup row. We are going to half double crochet in the first stitch because it takes the place of a back post double crochet. We're going to yarn over and back post around the next half double crochet. So we're basically just creating that border along the edge. So back post double crochet. And then we are going to front post double crochet across the next 18 stitches, and that's the setup for our cable. So checking out those posts, you're going to front post 18 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So those 18 stitches again are taking the place of that beautiful cable that's going to run through the center of our headband. Now, although the cable is 18 stitches wide, you can kind of consider this cable broken down into 3 of the 6 stitch cable. So if you remember doing that 6 stitch cable from the first headband, we're basically doing it 3 times, but it's worked in a couple of different positions. And so I'll show you how to do that, but if you can think of it that way, it kind of makes it a little bit less daunting. So now we have those 2 border stitches left. We're going to back post double crochet on both of those. So back post double crochet and back post double crochet. So now we're ready to do a return row, which will be the same throughout this pattern. So let's take a look at the return row. So for our return row, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And the return row is going to be the same every single time. We're going to half double crochet in the first stitch, back post, sorry. That's what happens when you turn your work, right? We're going to front post double crochet on the next stitch to match the back post double crochet from the front facing. That's what my brain wanted to say, and then it turned into front post, back post, front post, back post. So again, we're front post double crocheting on the next stitch, and for the next 18 stitches, we are going to back post so that they spring forward on the front of our work because we're looking at it from the opposite direction. So back posting across, and you're going to do that all the way across those 18 stitches and then front post on the last 2 and then turn. So I'll meet you there and we'll do our setup for our cables. So now we're ready to work our first cable stitch, and so we're going to begin with a half double crochet in the first stitch and a back post double crochet in the next, and that's our border. So those first 2 stitches take the place of our border, and now we're working across our cable stitch. So what's going to happen now is we're going to do cable B in the description, and cable B only happens in the first row of our cable and the last, and that's almost to start and finish off the cable in a very pretty way to end the braid. So we're going to do cable B now. So cable B means that you're going to front post double crochet across the first 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we're going to do that cable that we learned in the twisted cable headband that we already did, the Molly, where it was across 6 stitches. So if you remember, we skipped the first 3 stitches of our next 6. So again, we're kind of breaking this up into 3 parts. The first 6 are its own little cable, the middle 3 are its own little cable, and the last 3. So taking these next 6, you're going to skip the next 3 stitches and leave them alone. We're going to wrap twice for a front post treble crochet, and we're going to front post treble crochet across the next 3 stitches. So wrap twice, front post treble, wrap twice, and front post treble. And now those 3 stitches that we skipped there, you can see them right here, 1, 2, and 3, we're going to go back and work those now. So you're going to yarn over twice and go back into the first one. You can kind of stretch your work out so you can see it a little bit better, and you're going to stretch back and go into the first post and front post treble crochet here, just like in our first cabled headband that we did. So this cable you should be familiar with by now, which is great. So front post treble crocheting on each of these 3 skip stitches, picking up cat hair along the way. Sorry about that. If you guys have cats, you definitely know the struggle. And we have Toast now who has black hair, so it gets everywhere. Okay, so that's our first twist. And then now you can see we have our last 6 stitches in our 18 stitch cable, and we're just going to front post double crochet on each of those to finish this cable off. So on each of these 6, just a plain front post double crochet. And this is basically to get the cable going. It has that twist in the middle, and then the cable will start switching between A and C over and over again. Cables A and C in the description. So we're at our border. We're going to back post double crochet twice to finish this. So you can go ahead and do your return row, which is the 2 front post double crochets and then the 18 back post double crochets, and finishing off again with the 2 front post double crochets for the border. If you need a reminder of how to go backwards across those cables, you can check out the Molly 6-stitch cabled headband on how to work the back row again across those cables. Okay, so we came back across our 18 stitches there the other way, and now you can see that beautiful twist in the center to make our 18 stitch cable start off. And if you notice that your work is curling a little bit like this, don't worry about it. It'll straighten out as we go along, as we add more fabric to it. You can pull on it and give it a little stretch to make it lay down. But again, it'll work itself out as we make more fabric on this headband. So now we're ready to do the cable C in the description, which is going to repeat between cable A and cable C over and over. And cable C features the 6-stitch cable twist that we learned before, but it just worked in a little bit of a different way. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We are going to start with a half double crochet, back post in the next stitch, back post double crochet for our border. That's continuing on the same. So now we're ready to work cable C, and you can find that in the description. We're going to front post double crochet in the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. So now we're going to do the twist in a little bit of a different way. So we're going to skip the next 3 stitches. We're going to come back to them after the twist. So you're going to front post treble crochet in the next 3 stitches. So leaving the first 3 stitches blank. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to go back and work those front post stitches on the 3 skip stitches. But instead of working in front of our work like this, we're actually going to work behind our work to make that cable twist in a different way. So it can be a little bit fiddly. What I recommend is stretching out your work so you can see those posts, and we'll take it really slow. We're going to yarn over twice for the front post treble, and you're going to dip back behind your trebles and put your hook into that front post double crochet. Do you see how that worked? So our trebles are kind of laying down in front, and we've put our hook behind and put it into that skip stitch, the first one. So all these trebles are in the front now. So you can front post treble crochet like we have been. And we're going to do that again. So you're going to yarn over twice. You can kind of put your finger on these front post trebles, the first 3, and get them out of the way so that you can see the next post. It's right here. See underneath the hole? So our front post trebles that we did, the first 3, we can kind of move them around and make sure we can see everything. Just kind of stick your finger in, make a hole, whatever works for you. So the whole point is, though, that you need to work behind them. So we've yarned over twice. We're going to go behind them and catch this post of the skip stitch number 2. And you can push those front post trebles down in front of your work. Yarn over twice and look for that last post. It's right here. There's nothing on it. Move those front post trebles out of the way, and we're going to go behind them, catch that post, push those trebles down so you can see, and front post treble crochet. So now the twist is in the back, and we're actually going to do that again. So you're going to yarn over twice. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches, leave them alone, front post treble in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to work behind to catch these 3 stitches that we skipped with a front post treble crochet. So yarn over twice, go behind those front post trebles that we just made, hook that from the first skip stitch. You can push those trebles out of the way by pushing them down There we go. And now that front post is pushed up so you can see it, and you can finish your front post treble crochet here. Yarn over twice, move that first set out of the way so you can see your next stitch, go behind, get that post, and push those front post trebles down so that you can see your work. It's basically just moving them out of the way the whole time. You're not going to hurt them. You can be rough with them, just get them out of your vision, your line of vision, so that you can actually see what you're doing. They'll be fine. Okay, so I missed that one. So we're spreading out our work so we can see the post. It's right here. And we're working behind, catching that post, and then pushing those trebles down so that we can see. And that's it. So now we have 3 stitches left of our cable, and we're going to front post double crochet on the last 3. So that's cable C. A little bit of a different technique, but you can do it. If you can do the front way, you can do the back way as well. And then we're doing our border, which is the back post double crochets to finish it off. So I'm going to go ahead and do my return row, which again is the same every time. And then I'll come back to do our cable again. Do you see how it's twisting though in the on each of the sides now? So it's going to twist at the front of the stitches now when we do our next row. Okay, so now we're ready to do our final repeat, which is row, or cable A, I should say. So we have chained 1, we've turned, we're going to half double crochet in the first stitch, back post double crochet in the next stitch, and now we are just going to do our regular cable 3 times. So the 6-stitch cable that we learned before, we're just going to do it 3 times across all 18 of these stitches. So basically kind of 3 cables. So we're going to skip the first 3 stitches. We're going to yarn over twice for the front post treble in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then working in front, we're going to front post treble on those skipped 3, so wrap twice, and this is the easy cable where you don't have to go behind them. So 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to do that 2 more times across the remaining 12 stitches. So we have the next 3 we're going to skip, and we're going to front post treble on these 3. So skipping the next 3 and front post trebling. 1, 2, and 3. And then front post trebling on the 3 that we skipped right here. So working in front, super easy to find them. That's 1, 2, oh, I think my yarn got stuck there, and 3. Again, if you can't find the post, just stretch out your fabric a little bit so that you can see the post more clearly. And then we have those last 6 stitches of our cable. You can see them here at the end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 before our border. So we're going to skip the next 3, front post treble in the last 3 here. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. Bumped the camera, dropped my loop. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then in those 3 skip stitches, 1, 2, chain 3. And then we're going to back post, double crochet on the last 2 stitches here for our border. My yarn is so splitty today. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so let's take a look. So you can see now the cable is expanding out to the edges of the 18 stitches. So we started off in the middle, then it kind of stretched out a little bit, and now it's stretched out all the way. And so we're going to go back across it with our return row. And what's going to happen now is we're going to repeat cables C and A over and over. So you don't go back to B for pretty much the entire headband until we do the last row. So I'm going to continue alternating between C and A with our return row, and once you have enough rows, you can even try it on your head to make sure that it's almost fitting but not quite, and then I'll show you how to finish off by repeating this middle stitch here, okay? So when you've reached the correct number of rows and length, you will see that your pattern looks like this. So the single cross in the middle is mirrored at both ends, and then we have our row back and then our row of half double crochets across. So the beginning and the end will both mirror each other. Now, if you wanted to make your headband smaller or shorter than the written instructions, make sure that you end on a row with the row C, I should say, the cable that has the back twist to it, the backwards post stitches, and then, you know, the return row. Just because to end the cables, we want it to be the 3 crosses, the 2 crossed, and then finally the 1 cross that mirrors both sides. So that's the only important thing about repeating your rows, is make sure that your last cable is the cable C, and then we're going to go back to cable B one more time. So now that you have your half double crochet row done, you are going to do the same thing as the 6-stitch cabled headband and put a single crochet border along the edges, and then fasten off and do it again on the other side, and then we'll come back to show you the joining instructions for the twist. Okay, so now we have our single crochet border on. It makes everything nice and neat, all the edges. And so we're going to work with our headband inside out for now. So you're going to fold both pieces together. Just like so. And once you have both edges folded together, you're going to tuck one inside the other. Like this. And you're going to crochet or sew the seam shut through all 4 thicknesses, and then when you flip it inside out, it will be twisted. So I'm going to sew mine shut, and then I'll show you guys as soon as it's done. And there it is. So the twist is in the front. We have these beautiful cables going along the back, and it's just such a cute headband. It's one of my favorites for sure. I love this cable so much, and I love that it kind of carries out through the twist too. I think that looks really cool. So I hope you enjoyed making it. Thank you so much for joining me for the 18-stitch Molly cabled headband. I can't wait to see them in our Facebook group and on Ravelry. See you next time.